Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's Rise and Shine, and we're coming to you live from the beautiful hills of Ibiaka, and several conversations have already gone on, and we will be delving into our focus conversation this morning. Feel free to like, share, comment across all our social media platforms. In the comment section, you can send us text messages. But of course, this morning we'll be talking about an issue that started since on Sunday, but hasn't settled because, there's just a lot of things to look into it. We had the presidential flag bearer of the APC, All Progressives Congress, go to London, the Chattam House to be precise, to hold what we'll call now what's this thing? The words are escaping me.
Okay, like a think tank
or
high-profile interview.
Yes, high-profile interview. There's a particular word I love to use that is escaping me. But then we had him in London at the Chattam House on Sunday, granting an interview, more like a type of campaign now to answer question. But now we have a guest that will be dealing with this issue, Adewale, Director of Organizing Lagos State APC. I mean, who better to answer the question than a director of the APC? Good morning, Comrade Ayodele. Thanks for joining us.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
Okay, so Chattam House interview is something that, hasn't settled. A lot of dust being, some say that, look, it's just Bola Tinubu, displaying his features as or elements as a leader.
I think the word I was looking for was town hall. It was an international town hall meeting held.
Yeah. But here we are today having this conversation. But I would like to ask you, Comrade, what's your overview of what happened in Chattam House? I know that sometime last week, the APC said their candidate was going to London to also campaign, and a lot of questions are being raised, like, is it in London that we have voters? Or
once again, thank you for we must first on the platform Chattam House, and you agree with me that Chattam House is a place where brilliant people gather, and they also invite brilliant minds come present their brilliance, which is aimed at solving problems, either in government or actually to speak to the business class, speak to so many brilliant all across the world who have gathered to see on how he can leverage on them to solving Nigerians' problems, and of course showcase his programs. Either you like it or not, Nigerians in diaspora are very important, especially that they also repatriate funds to the country to boost our economy and all of that. And you can't take away the fact that they are key stakeholders in the Nigerian project. So I also have the opportunity to speak to Nigerians outside of Nigeria to bring them back into Nigeria to add their own value for nation building. So that is what Ashwaju has done.
Okay.
He has not gone out of place. So many other Nigerian leaders have also visited the Chattam House in the past. President Buhari have done that. Mr. Tipolwaka, I believe, have done that. And so many other. Chattam House is a place where innovations are discussed, innovations are put on the table. So if he has brought another innovation to Chattam House, I believe it's for historians and many people in generation yet unborn to come study his own pattern of teamwork and how he can use it to improve the living conditions of all Nigerians.
Okay, now I like the fact that you said that the Chattam House is where great minds, come to share ideas and talk about a lot of. What would you make out of, all of the conversations that was held there on Monday by the APC presidential candidate, and the fact that he delegated questions. Now, also coming from the fact that you said it's where, intelligent minds, go to discuss issues and pull for solutions now. So why did he at any point begin to delegate questions that he was supposed to answer as an intelligent?
In those questions to other brilliant that spoke at that platform. Remember that Ashwaju himself has answered many questions, especially that bordered on youth, bordered on education, and other sundry. He has also read out his program, which of course contained a lot of answers to questions that were put forward. And Ashwaju, with his innovation, only provided an opportunity for great minds to also share their thoughts, opportunity to bring out the greatness in their thoughts for people to look at. We must not follow the distractive narrative by some people in order to water down what had happened at the Chattam House. I will give you a critical example. During the COVID-19 pandemic, especially in the United States of America, President Biden was engaging some media personalities, and some questions does not have answers to those questions. But he has come as a team, with his team, and he believes that teamwork is far greater. And when some questions are put forward, there's nothing that debars you from calling a member of your team to answer those questions, and you also corroborate your thought to those answers. That is what Asiwaju simply have done. And in solving that and show the ability of delegating responsibilities to people and monitoring them using a KPI system to making sure that these solutions are driven well and the problem are well addressed and they are solved.
Okay, I think part of the problem why this is a big issue for most Nigerians seems to be that over time, your principal, Chattam House, where you have booked for an interview to ask questions and answer questions accordingly, and then still, give it to your team members to to answer. The problem seems to be, will we have a president, if elected into office, that can steer the course of things as a leader? I know that part of the biggest answers to this question from most APC stalwarts is the fact that Bola Tinubu represents himself as a team lead and a team player. But what's your question? What's your answer to the question of how will he be able to preside over things as a president instead of always send?
When you are the commander-in-chief, it means that you sit on various responsibilities and trusts. You are the coordinator of all of these trusts. And as such, there is nothing wrong in you working within people who are going to carry out some sundry matter. And it is not true. It is not. Many a time when this invitation comes, he would have committed himself to other programs. So don't you feel that if he declined other pre-invites that have come before this invite that people are claiming, showing responsibility? He had accepted those invites, but only a delegated representative to represent from, not that he totally declined on them. So for whoever that have pushed such information out, I will say that information is not true. And in coping with the enormous task in Nigeria, as we see in various national questions, national issues that need to be solved, you would need people of equal and higher cerebral to work with you in your team, and you delegate responsibilities for that. The Nigerian Constitution has provided for that. That is why you have them. They also must be able to work within the line, and of course programs that are embedded in your contract with the people, in your manifesto, to implementing them and bringing better and a better system in the Nigerian state. What we should be primarily concerned how Asiwaju's leadership is going to bring on board more infrastructure for Nigeria, how we are going to make sure that we have 24 hours of energy supply that are not, or that is not of a particular stream. Asiwaju have said that he's going to unbundle the power sector, making sure that local government, state government, key players in the power industry, energy industry, have the opportunity to generate power.
Now, what also makes you feel that if he doesn't become the president of Nigeria, any other person that comes on board as number one person in the country can't do all of that he has said so far?
In year 2000, Asiwaju brought an idea to create an independent power supply. It was this same, if you phantom what would have happened if they had not frustrated that program. By now, Lagos State government would have not only be selling energy, power energy, to Nigerian people, but of course would have covered more of the West African and Sub-African region that would have brought into our economy more foreign earnings that we require. These are things that Asiwaju have in his thoughts, in his program. We are not experimenting. Remember that Lagos State still pushed forward to create an IPP project that we were only allowed to inject into public utilities, which Lagos State used like this, make Asiwaju Tower far and above other aspirants. And I thank God. And I thank God that the two leading candidates of other parties have also, in one way or the other, governed their states, or was a vice president of the Nigerian state. When you compare their achievement with that of Asiwaju going forward, you will see that Asiwaju tower more above of all of them.
Well,
that seems to be,
I know that's
something.
Another argument, you know, when you begin to use Lagos State under the leadership of Asiwaju in his time to begin to say that these are the precedents he has left behind, enough for us to begin to vote him as the president of Nigeria. There are arguments that say that it is not even him that, you know, developed Lagos State, but the federal government. And that's one narrative that the People's Democratic Party has been pushing. That was also pushed on Monday at in Lagos as well.
And there's been successive governments after the time he was governed. To be something that your principal himself, Bola Tinubu, now seems to be like, I'm the most credible, I'm the most fit, you know, for the seat of governor. But I'm still going to try to stay along the lines of controversial questions around the Chattam House interview. Now, we're looking at the fact that the Nigerian media seems to feel blighted by the, you know, decision of the APC committee and Bola Tinubu to choose to have, you know, the feelings of blight by the Nigerian media.
Well, before I move to your last statement, I want to just take a connotation from it is said that by their fruits you shall know them. And Asiwaju have demonstrated through his fruit of hard work, and he has created a cliche for himself as a progressive, not just being the governor of Lagos State for 8 years. He has been able to create a system that produced successive governors that have improved on the Lagos system. If you look at Lagos, prior to 1999, the environment was a disaster. Security was in dire situation where armed robbers had freed the system that he met, rebranded the Nigerian police within his own custody, and he created what is today known as the Rapid Response Squad. He did not just create them, he also created the funding that is sustainable for them. That is why you have the Lagos Security Trust. If not for that, I can assure you nobody will be able to move freely in Lagos today. Business in Lagos would not have been in Africa. So you must give that to Asiwaju, and that is what is going to bring pretend back to the Chatham House. Asiwaju had the opportunity of speaking to the world like we've discussed before. He also used that opportunity to also speak to the media gathering that is there, and the novelty part of it, which again a lot of people or some people are not comfortable with, and trying to change the narrative or change the innovation to answer that question. That is not a crime. That is something that is very good. That is something that is nice. To have given some young one, especially the woman leader of the APC, who is just about 36 years of age, to sharpen her perspective and help to add on to things that can improve on the Nigerian health at Chatham House. I think other candidates or parties who will be visiting Chatham House in the near future or talking at various platforms should borrow from Asiwaju's idea and ways of doing things.
Okay, let me come in here now. When you say that he's, displaying leadership and ingenuity, I don't think that a lot of Nigerians are taking that, because if you look at reactions from Nigerians show that we are not comfortable with, someone that says he wants to become president of Nigeria begin to share questions to his team members to answer. And again, I remember that somebody also made a point where he said that even in Chatham House, you don't go to Chatham House with such crowd. That's another angle of argument. But again, do you also think that these people that were given questions to answer, that talked, I think, about industrialization or agriculture, do you think that these people will one day form the cabinet of Bola Tinubu if he eventually becomes the president of Nigeria? Because when you say that you're delegating to people you will be working directly with, and not people that you're not even sure will be members of your cabinet. I think this is where a lot of Nigerians are coming from. So what do you think about this? And then again, I know that most of the you would also tell us that you have seen the video from the spokesperson of the PDP, Dino Malai. So just respond to all of that as well.
Well, I want to thank you so much for you affirming that the backlash, lots of the backlash, if not totality of the backlash, are from the PDP. We do not expect anything less from an opposition, and I thank you for affirming that statement. Now, to those who were invited to Chattam House, let me say for a fact that Asiwaju Bola Tinubu does not control those who to have allowed whoever to come into that program. So if you have had more of Asiwaju's team members and attend that program, that was not created by Asiwaju. It was allowed by the owners of Chatham House, and you cannot hold Asiwaju responsible for that. Beyond that fact, everybody that attended that Chatham House program, majority of them were in a program that is central to their interest. Moving away from that, I would say that the Chatham House provided the opportunity for Asiwaju and his team members to put forward solutions that can help the United States, regardless of the fact that they have delegated answers to questions to people or not. No one human being has the totality of brain work to solving the problem of Nigeria. You must bring people on board to think on that free education. In fact, free education was propounded by Chief Maja, Chief Ajashi, and Mr. Opaifa, and so many of them. I was told that by Chief Anthony Nahoru of Blessed Memories. I worked closely with him at the Pro-National Conference, and Professor Wale Soyinka was vice. I was also the secretary to Professor Wale Soyinka at the Citizens Forum, and I was secretary to Dr. Becker at the June 12 coalition. So I know what I'm saying. No one human being has solution to many or total problems in Nigeria. The only way you can get out of it if you bring in more good heads to work with you. And that is what Tinubu has done. Bringing very cerebral people to work with him, to think with him, to discuss on the Nigerian problem and provide solution. Chief M.K. Abiola also did likewise.
So whether these people are going to be part of his cabinet or not, he's somebody that, you know, talks to people and provides solution. Is that what you're saying?
Well, I've just told you that he has surrounded himself with brilliant people. It does not matter if they are going to end up being ministers or what have you. What matters more is to keep surrounding yourself with brilliant people that will help within your own nucleus, so that by the time you bring your program out, it becomes very fine and refined to solving the problems that confront the nation.
Now, Comrade Ayodele Adewale, let me ask you a question. If you were not an APC member, would you be coming from this perspective you're coming from concerning Bola Tinubu?
You must remember that first and foremost, I'm an activist. I was part of those who fought for this democracy that you are enjoying today as a student leader and all of that. I was president of Lagos State University when we were fighting against the dark days of the military junta, especially Abacha, and clamoring for the reinstatement of June 12 and proclamation that Chief M.K. Abiola be president of Nigeria. Remove politics from it. Asiwaju was part of us to fight against the draconian policies and fight against people who have prevented democracy to reign in Nigeria. So even if I am not a politician, judging from the three of them, I will still align with Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu to become president of Nigeria.
Okay, so a question that is, you know, aside side by side with questions that Tinubu is asking. If in the event that he does win the election come February 25th, Buhari did, will he assent to what wealth he has? There's a proper way to put it, but it's just keeping my memory now. But is he going to tell us his worth, declaring of his assets?
Yes.
Because that seems to be something he's been dodging a lot.
Ashwaji have never dodged anything. He has always declared his assets. He has never lied against what he has written in the form of asset declaration. Remember that he was also brought to the code of conduct on issue of assets. He was trialed and he was found not guilty, and he was discharged of any crime. So also, he's going to declare his assets as soon as he's sworn in by the grace of God as the President, Commander-in-Chief of the Nigerian Armed Forces.
Comrade Ayodele, hands of the APC team, how are you going to respond to, you know, a possible shock of that magnitude? Because, I mean, your principal is very, very confident that he's the most reasonable and the most qualified for the office. Yes. He keeps saying how that Atiku Abubakar doesn't stand a chance by him, neither does Peter Obi stand a chance by him. If by any sheer luck of political activity Nigerians decide otherwise, what is the stake on ground for the APC?
Look, Ashwaji is a Democrat. And as a Democrat, is going to go through the hog of democratic system. We have no doubt in our mind that we are not going to win that election. We are going to win that election. We are covering as much space as we can. We are moving from street to street, state to state, door to door. We are campaigning vigorously. Let us wait till then. But I know confidently that Ashwaji will win the elections.
Yeah, definitely. As we, clock into the election period, we'll continue to have these conversations. But at the end of the day, February 25th is just a couple of days. Oh yeah, you've not checked how many days though. Couple of days away.
Definitely, we are going to come back here to now talk about greater, faster way of implementing the Asiwaju's leadership and government as president of Nigeria.
And again, if it doesn't keep to all of the promises you are reeling out this morning on this set, we'll also hold you accountable for it.
There's nothing in our programs that cannot be achievable. For everything that you see in our manifesto, these are things that's President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria.
Okay, we'll leave it hanging there. Thank you so much, our Comrade Ayodele Adewale, Director of Organization, Lagos State APC. Thank you so much for your time, and you have a great day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
All right, enjoy the rest of your day. Yes, well, like we always say, like I think I liked one question you really asked him: if he were not to be an APC person, would he be, saying some of the things he said? Sometimes it's easy when you say, oh, it's an opposition that is saying all of those things, but when you stand from a different prism, would you be saying, and he gave his reasons why he would, pick a Tinubu over any other person. I've recently heard Tinubu say in an interview that he would, if he were not to be running for the seat of the president that they use in their pursuit for the seat of the presidency. But like we said, we'll be here.
But again, that's a rather smart answer to that kind of question, because if you say that, if I'm not running for the presidency, I think I really appreciate this is more like you indirectly endorsing someone else. Okay?
Janice, and you know that very often Nigerians try to fault Asiwaju Bola Tinubu to not be competent, not to be coherent with his speech or his thought. And when I watched him give that response, I was like, y'all joking with Bola Tinubu, he knows exactly what he's saying. And because that was my thought, had he even said, oh, this person or that person, that would answer, himself, that for me was a clear answer of someone who is, who is in charge of his thinking at the time, because it was a spontaneous question and he answered it on the spot. And I think they are doing well for themselves. Earlier on, we had also commended the Labour Party for their scheme and how they are going about their campaigns. I also think that the APC is doing awesome in their strategies. It's not working for all Nigerians, but it's working for people who appreciate the bad.
Exactly. And I also wanted to also come from the angle of, even giving up, she's become the women leader, national women leader at that age. And we know the position she held even before, she became the